Okay, good evening and welcome. Tonight we are here to talk about happy, healthy hair. Thank you for coming. I hope that hope you've got a pen and a pencil, pen and a paper, so you can take some notes if you want to. And I'm going to just ask you, if you don't mind, to hold your questions, if you have any, and to the end, so that I don't get off track, because I tend to do that. So my story is that I was sick for a while, and several weeks during my recovery, was feeling much better, but during my recovery, much to my shock, I was showering and washing my hair, and literally my hands were full of hair. Like it was just falling out, like literally from the root, handfuls. So if that's happened to you, I'm sorry. If it hasn't happened to you, I pray that it never does, because it's really, really traumatic. And the second time that happened in the shower, I just stood there and cried. It's just a horrible feeling. So I didn't even realize what was, I just didn't realize what was going on. So I started to do some research, because this literally went on for months, to the point that I don't know how much you guys can see, but I used to have a lot of hair, and I don't have very much hair now. I lost over half of my hair, and I've cut it 3 times. It keeps getting shorter to get rid of all the, wispy kind of ends and stuff on it. What I do know now is that there are a lot of reasons that we can lose our hair. So we're going to just kind of broad spectrum cover what that looks like, or what that could look like, because shedding is actually, hair shedding is actually a thing, and it happens at different times in our lives. And, probably one of the most common things that we think of without being sick for hair shedding is postpartum, because a lot of us lose some hair after we've given birth, especially if we're nursing and things like that. And so we want to look at, okay, what's going on with the body, right? Well, we're probably very nutrient deficient. We've got some hormonal imbalances, things like that. So we're experiencing a hair loss. There's a lot of different factors. Stress, immune system being compromised. That was my case. Just different seasons, literally. Hormones, and it can even be cyclical. So our body really talks through our hair, skin, nails, doesn't it? If we're paying attention. So what we see on the outside is representative of what's going on the inside. Now, sometimes there can be a little bit of a delay with that, and sometimes not. But I do believe that we experience our best health when we focus on cellular level. So when we focus on what's going on internally. So I'm going to talk about overall body health tonight as we continue through this. So if we think about our hair, every root on our head is buried in the dermis, right? And it's in direct contact with the bloodstream via capillaries. All these hairs. So there are at least 100,000 hair fibers on our head, typically, normally. And each one absorbs, right? So any kind of imbalance, any kind of toxicity in the body can be interpreted and transferred to the hair through blood supply. So that alone is enough of an incentive for me to want to make really good choices about what I'm putting on my head, on my hair, my scalp, because it's going into the bloodstream 100,000 times over, right? Our hair just registers what we experience. So again, hormonal fluctuations, stress, trauma, sickness, nutritional deficiencies, all of these things can contribute and be reflected in our hair. So now, this really sad thing today is that the majority of hair care products, personal care products as well, are loaded with chemicals. They have things, ingredients in them that we do not want. I at least don't want touching my skin, let alone my scalp, which is, covering, my brain. So I'm going to really quick just take a look at that, because that may be a whole new thought process for some of us. This evening, we may not have been introduced to that. We may not understand that. So we want to watch for sulfates. We need to become really good gatekeepers of what we bring into our home, because typically, I don't know whether there are any men on here, but typically women do the shopping. Typically women are the gatekeepers. We're the ones who decide what's purchased and what's brought into our home, especially when we're talking about hair care, personal care, groceries, things like that. So we want to really become an informed consumer and be a good label reader. So we want to look for things like sulfates. So sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium laureth sulfate, things like that. Sometimes it'll say SLS or SLES, and basically they're foaming agents. So they're used to clean dirt and things like that. That's why they're added to soaps, and so that they will be able to, clean and foam. We don't need foam for something to be clean. That is a misnomer. I don't know about you, but I got used to not having foaming shampoo, but I still, in my mind, think my dish soap should be foamy. I don't know, ladies, if I'm the only one, but I just keep thinking, where are the suds? Where are the suds? I need the suds. And even though my dishes are perfectly clean without it, we're trained that way, right? And so that's just natural to us. But the problem is they actually cause our hair to be more frizzy or to be frizzy, and they're hormone disruptors. They're also harmful to the environment. So we don't want those. Parabens, there's a lot of talk about parabens. So parabens are a type of preservative. It does prevent bacteria from growing, and that's why it's used. So we're going to look for words that start or end with butyl, like BUTYL, propyl, YL, and ethyl, ETHYL. So those are typically parabens. That's the way it'll be listed on your bottle. So they're also hormone disruptors because they mimic the hormone estrogen. That's where we get what we would call xenoestrogens or false estrogens. And they've been linked to things like breast cancer. So there are parabens in deodorants and things like that, but other skincare products. Polyethylene glycol. So polyethylene glycol is a derivative of petroleum oil from the gas and oil industry. It's a thickening agent. Now, there have been some studies that show, especially with long-term use, that it can be very harmful to our scalp. And they don't even know what all it does do to us. But there are some studies that show that it will probably affect that it's probably affecting our hormones, and it also could possibly be a carcinogen, and they're still looking at that. And then there are phthalates. So used in a lot of hair care products. They make the perfume and synthetic fragrances that stick to our hair and our scalp. We want that whatever fragrance. Well, that's one of the things that they use to do that. It's definitely an endocrine disruptor. It's known to do that. It's also one of the reasons or one of the causes of early puberty in children. So we don't want that with our kids either, right? Formaldehyde, that's another preservative. So it will a lot of the time say some type of urea, UREA. It will say bronopol, BRONOPOL, things like that. We don't want that. Alcohol, there's a lot of different alcohols, different types of alcohol used, propanol, isopropyl alcohol, things like that, like regular rubbing alcohol. It's very drying, right? It's not good for us. So that's in our hair care products and skincare products. So imagine how drying that would be, among other things. It can just cause our hair to be brittle, our skin to be really kind of crepe papery if we use it too long. One of the biggies, in my opinion, is fragrance. So if it says fragrance, just stay away from it. It also might say perfume or perfume. Now, a lot of the time, they're really tricky. There's a lot of what I call greenwashing. They try to make us think that it's good. They use a lot of keywords like organic and pure and natural, and they use all the right colors, earth tones, and things like that in marketing to make us think that these products are okay, but they're not okay. Because it's considered proprietary information. A company does not have to let us know what exactly fragrance consists of. So there can be some 1,400 different ingredients umbrellaed under fragrance, and none of them are good for us. They're all things we don't want. They're very highly synthetic. They're made from toxic chemicals. I mean, think about, how are you going to make apple pie shampoo? Right? So they're shown to cause a lot of respiratory issues, hormonal issues, and they can actually lead to hair loss. So no, not okay. And the other thing is colors or dyes. So I still don't understand why we need a bright pink pill or green shampoo or conditioner or whatever, right? There's just no reason. So when you see something that's got an interesting color, be sure to read and look for things that say like F, D, and C, or D and C. And then usually there'll be a number followed by it. And that will show that it is a dye, that it's a color. So those are just a few of the things. You can Google and you can get more, but those are a few of the things that I personally think are really important for us to avoid. We're going to talk about everyone tonight, all different hair types. So I want to just run through some of those hair types really quick, because you may not actually know what your hair type is. So, and what differences, in product and things that might entail. So we have straight hair. Obviously, we know if our hair is straight. Typically with straight hair, we don't have to use a lot of product. Okay, it's not usually necessary. We don't need a double cleanse. A lot of the times we have to wash our hair twice. But if we've got straight hair, typically that's not the thing. We just wash it, condition it, and then use the Mira Luster hair oil just on the ends of it, and the mermaid spray that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, and I'll give you the recipe for that if you don't already have it. It's great, and you're kind of done. Wavy hair really can depend on the person, because wavy hair can be thick or it can be thin, either one. And if the thicker it is, usually the more coarse, obviously it's going to be, the more moisture we need. The thinner it is, the less moisture typically we are going to need. So we want to, and if our hair is oily or greasy, what we really, really want to do, you guys, even though it seems so counterintuitive, we want to wash less often instead of more often, because we want to train our hair not to secrete all of the oil that it's secreting. So that's just a process, and it takes a little bit of time. And so probably, doing some dry shampoos and things like that. But again, with the wavy hair, we're going to wash it, condition it, and then we'll just use a little bit of the Mira hair oil on the ends again, just because remember, the ends are the oldest, right? The ends are the oldest hair. So we really need to pamper the ends so that we don't get a lot of split ends and things like that. We don't want to have our hair breaking off. If we're pulling our hair back in a ponytail or braiding it every day, those places where that's creased can easily be damaged, especially if we do the same hairstyle, so to speak, every single day. So we want to kind of change that up. So then there's curly hair. Now, if you got curly hair, I got curly hair. Mine hair is kind of wild and wants to do its own thing. Curly hair needs a lot of moisture. So those of us with curly hair are going to wash our hair, but we're typically going to either double condition or we're going to do a leave-in conditioner. Okay. So for me, I leave my conditioner in. My conditioner doesn't get rinsed out. Sometimes people like to make a conditioner by taking like a tablespoon of your whichever conditioner you're loving of Young Living. You know, they've got several choices. Take like a tablespoon of it and put it in like an 8-ounce spray bottle, 8 or 12-ounce spray bottle, and shake it up and then spray it on your hair after you've gotten out and you've towel dried, and use that as a leave-in conditioner because it's not quite as heavy. So if you feel like that conditioner is weighing your hair down, just plain, just a straight conditioner, then do it that way. Now, kinky hair. So kinky hair needs all the things that the curly hair needs. It just needs a lot more. So you're going to use a lot more product if you've got kinky hair. More, it's going to take more shampoo. It's going to take more conditioner. It's going to take more of the Mira oil, all of those things, because it just needs that. Now, men can have the same kinds of things, ladies, believe it or not, different hair types for guys, right? So they can follow some of these same protocols. Thankfully, with Young Living, which are the products that I choose to use because Young Living is so particular about all the ingredients that they use, it's kind of the easy button for me to be that informed consumer, good gatekeeper. But there are even products for our little ones. So you can take advantage of that, because the last thing we want to do is put icky products on our little people, right? Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty now that we kind of have an idea of what our hair type is. We may just want healthy hair, and that's great. We all want healthy hair, but we also there's some of us that are rehabbing or need to rehab our hair. That's where I'm at. I'm in the rehab season of life. So one of the things that we really need to have is a really good brush. And one of the best brushes that I have found in my research and talking to different hairdressers, and by the way, I am not a hairdresser. I am not a doctor. I am a gal who's walked out this journey of losing her hair, and her hair getting, not only losing it, but the texture changed. Like it just changed. It just wasn't the healthy hair that I had prior to being sick. But what I found is a Boar bristle brush seems to work best. Now, don't go like to Target or somewhere like that and buy one, because it's just not going to do what you need it to do. And a really good one is really pricey, but you can go on Amazon, and I can share a link later if you want, for the one that I got that's kind of mid-range, but it seems to work well. So we want to brush our hair morning and night, no matter what your hair type is, because you want to stimulate the scalp. You want to untangle, you want to smooth and all that, but you really want to get the sebum moving in your hair from the scalp down, okay? Because that really works to keep your hair healthy. And it's kind of a natural way of conditioning your hair, but you want it from the scalp all the way to the ends. So even if you've got really long hair, ladies, you're brushing all the way to the end, because that ultimately will help to nourish, to hydrate, and to make your styling much easier. Now, these particular brushes, the longer bristles help to exfoliate the scalp and increase blood circulation, which stimulates the follicles. Now, this was when my hair started falling out, right? And I had the handfuls of hair. You know what my first inclination was, girls? It was to not touch my hair, not to scrub my head, to like be very, very gentle. And for some reason, I don't even know why, in my brain, I thought, gee, if I baby it and I pamper it, it'll just stay in place. Well, that wasn't the case. It was actually doing the opposite of what I should have been doing. So a good scrub, with your fingertips, actually stimulating the scalp when you're washing your hair is amazing. And that's why we're going to be brushing too, to stimulate that scalp, to get the circulation moving. So had I done that earlier, maybe I wouldn't have lost as much hair as I did, but I hadn't done any research, and I didn't really understand that. I'm gonna talk about several different products that I have used, or that I can recommend for you to use depending on your hair type. And all of everything I'm going to talk about right now, again, is Young Living. because I trust it, because they don't allow ingredients in their products that are nasty. So Young Living has reformulated their shampoos and conditioners recently. Now that the reformulation has been an ongoing process for 6 years, to develop the best thing for us. They're looking to get things gluten-free so that people aren't having to worry about that. And they do not cut corners. They accept nothing less than the very, very best. So they're formulated using very strict standards with 2,500 banned ingredient list, 2,500, more than anyone, even in Europe, where they have a huge list and it's like 1,300 and some products or ingredients. Young Living goes to 2,500. So you'll never find those types of products or ingredients in the Young Living products. So lavender mint shampoo is an option. That typically works really well for people that have oilier hair or normal to dry hair that needs a clarifying focus. Okay. So lavender mint. And then there's lavender for just normal to lifeless. So if you need some body, if you've got fine hair and you're needing some body, the lavender volumizing, I believe is what it's called, could be the proper one for you. Copaiba Vanilla is a moisturizing shampoo. That's the one I use because of my curly hair. And my hair tends to be more on the dry side. So if you need extra hydration, that is the one that you're going to want to look at. So just play with that to see what works best for you, but at least that'll give you a place to start. So we're going to talk about washing our hair. So I know right now you're thinking, I've been washing my hair for however many years. Don't really need, to know anything else about that, but we may. I did. So we want to protect our hair, right? So first and foremost, I use the Copaiba Vanilla moisturizing shampoo and the conditioner, but in my shampoo bottle, I add rosemary, lavender, and cedarwood. Now you can add those oils anyway. You can add really any oils that you want. Those oils, as we're going to talk about this evening, seem to do a really amazing job at help regenerating and restoring and all of those kinds of things. We'll dig into that a little bit more in a minute. But here's what we want to do. We want to saturate our head really good. We want our hair wet, 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 wet. So don't just get in the shower and get your hair damp and throw on some shampoo. Your hair needs to be saturated with water. And the water not to be hot, but it needs to be warm enough that it helps open the pores. Okay, because remember all those pores, those follicles, we want to open that up so that we can get good nutrition, these nutrients from our shampoo and into the scalp. So once we've done that, we just want a little bit of shampoo. Now, if you've never used these shampoos, they are extremely concentrated. Like so many other Young Living products, they come to us extremely concentrated. I have some friends who actually take one bottle of shampoo or conditioner and make 2 or 3 bottles out of it. Typically what I do is I use such a tiny amount and then I just put some water with it in my hand and I just mix it, rub it through in my palms really good, and then just start rubbing through my head. And then again, doing a really good scrub for a couple of minutes, you guys, like really invigorating scrub. And it feels good. It's kind of like a nice little massage, right? So we're doing that. The most that I've ever known anyone to need was like the size of a quarter. And that's if you have a lot of hair. It really just doesn't, it's so concentrated. You don't need very much. So don't overuse your product. Okay. Just don't use a lot more than what you need. Now, remember, because we left out all those icky foaming agents, it's not going to foam like what we're used to. We're not going to have a full head of bubbles. And that's okay. We don't need that, right? We're just working on getting the scalp, really, really clean. So do that. Then rinse really, really good. Again, just really, really good. At this point, I like to apply healthy hair or rehabbed hair, either one. Okay. But I'll give you 2 different recipes. Mermaid spray. I wonder if anybody uses mermaid spray. So, okay, I see some hands going up. Awesome. You guys already know about it. So for healthy hair, just regular mermaid spray works really nice. So we're shampooing, we're spraying with mermaid spray, and then we're going to put our conditioner on. Okay. So it just helps. The mermaid spray helps to tone. So mermaid spray is like an 8-ounce bottle, spray bottle, and 10 drops each of rosemary, lavender, and cedarwood. So rosemary, lavender, cedarwood, 10 drops, and an ounce of witch hazel, but make sure there's no alcohol in the witch hazel. Okay. Then you're just going to shake that up. You can literally just leave it in your shower. I've shampooed. Now I'm spraying that all over my head. I'm just kind of working that in. All right. Just letting that sit there just a few seconds. Now I'm ready to condition. Now this is really good, you guys, if your hair is stressed, if you go to the beach a lot, you're swimming in a pool a lot, you use a lot of other products, which hopefully you don't, but a lot of heat on your hair, that kind of thing, it really helps to nourish it and helps it to get back to that soft, shiny, silky feel that we all want with our hair. Now, some people talk about that if you've got color treated hair to omit the lavender. I don't have any real experience with that, but I have read that. So I'm going to just leave that with you. Now, if you have blonde or you have gray hair, you might want to add some blue tansy or some Valor. Some people use Valor. Some people use blue tansy because it's blue, right? And it helps the white and the blonde to be more true. So an ounce of witch hazel in the mermaid spray. So now we're going to just put the conditioner on. And again, just a tiny amount. A lot of people I know make 2 or 3 bottles out of one. If you want to do that, take your bottle. Let's say you're going to make 2. Take your bottle of conditioner, pour half of it into an empty bottle, and then use really hot water to fill your bottle with water, to fill the rest with water, and shake it up really good so it mixes well. Otherwise, it may not mix up so well. I find that the Young Living conditioner is so thick and so concentrated that I have to literally pour it out into a mixing bowl and stir it if I'm going to do that, because it just doesn't mix well. It's just so concentrated. So I'll let you figure that out. So now we're conditioning our hair. We don't want to put the conditioner directly on the scalp. We're going to start about 2 inches off of the scalp, okay? Because now we're really just focusing on the hair, not the scalp. The scalp shouldn't need that. We've already put our mermaid spray on. Now this will help to seal those oils in. And if we have really dry or coarse hair, we might just want to leave the conditioner in. That's why I told you earlier that I do. I just don't rinse it out. I just leave it in, and I literally go strand by strand. So I'm just pulling my hair and I'm just making sure that I'm working it all the way through to the ends, because remember, the ends are the oldest. So that's where we really, really want to focus, and we want to pamper them. All right. So for me right now, because my hair's in rehab, my mermaid spray looks like this. I take the Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood, the hydrosol spray, a whole bottle of it, and it's like 3.5 ounces or 4 ounces or something, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I do 30 drops of each of those same oils: rosemary, cedarwood, and lavender. And I spray that on my hair instead of the regular mermaid spray. Okay. And I kind of work that into my scalp. I just kind of, in the shower, I just kind of work that into the scalp. We want to, if we're rehabbing our hair, and really anytime, but especially if we're rehabbing, our hair's already got some challenges. We want to make sure that we avoid extreme heat. We don't want any chemical treatments. We don't want to do stuff like that. Okay. We want to give our hair a reset. We want to give our hair time to regenerate, to recover. Just like if we're sick and we need to recover, right? We're a little more gentle with ourselves. And so I'm just going to say, remember to be a little bit more gentle with your hair. Now, I also am going to suggest that you only wash your hair every 3 to 5 days. So some of you who are an everyday hair washer, like I used to be, are probably going, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. But you can. You can. And your hair will thank you for it. So remember, I talked about earlier that if your hair is more on the oily, greasy side, you really want to do that anyway. You want to stretch out how often that you're washing it so that it gets used to that and it's not making so much oil. If you need a dry shampoo, a really easy recipe that that I started using when now I don't even need it, but when I first started this, I was like, oh, I can't do this. Like I can't not wash my hair and for several days. So what I did was I got this from Melissa Pepping. I took the diamond dust, the veil that we put on our face, like the finishing from Savvy Minerals. I took that and then just a little, well, I think I actually used a blush brush and I just went, on the areas of my scalp, just kind of put it on my scalp and just kind of, rubbed it in a little bit, shook it out, just like I would if I was adding, anything else. So to me, at first, that was a really weird thing because I had never in my whole entire life used a dry shampoo. So if you guys have done it, it'll be no problem for you. You've got it. It's easy. Now, if you need some color, you can use cocoa powder or you can use multitasker to get some color. So it's not like, and for me, I used a little bit of multitasker. Now I got a lot of silvery highlights these days. I keep calling them highlights. I think I'm past highlights, but makes a girl happy to say that. So that's what I call them. So that's an easy dry shampoo. So for those of you that need to rehab your hair, I'm about to tell you what changed my life. I used literally, I can't even tell you, every product. I took every kind of vitamin. I did it all, you guys. I listened to every doctor, everything that's on, all the natural stuff. And I say doctor, like, that we're talking about this type of thing, the hair loss that was occurring and, after being sick and different things and all the stuff, and nothing helped. I was literally, every time I took a shower and washed my hair, the hair was just everywhere. It was terrible. And I was shedding like a dog. Like it was just all over me and all over the house. And we had huge white, beautiful tile with my hair all over the whole entire house that you could just see on this white tile. It was awful. But Melissa Pepping, God bless her, made a post about rehabbing her hair and what she did. And I had it on hand and I immediately tried it like that night. CBD Beauty Boost. So literally CBD Beauty Boost. We need to tell the world because, and I don't know if it'll do all the same things for you, but I know it's helped a lot of people now. So she said, just put it on your head before you go to bed at night. So literally I'm taking my hair and I'm parting it like 3 different parts. So like right through here. Hope you guys can see, like right through here, taking all this, pulling it up, pulling it down, and taking the dropper of the CBD and putting it along there and starting to rub it in. I'm going right down the center of my head and then on the other side. Now, because I lost so much in the back, like I have bald spots that I'm still trying to cover up. I did the same thing right along the back. Then I would just take my fingers and I would just rub that oil, that Beauty Boost, all over my scalp. I would just massage it in like really, 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 really good. Okay. Knowing this was, and like I said, this was the first day that I read it. I'm like, I'm doing that tonight. So the idea is to put it on and leave it on overnight. So she suggests a satin lined sleeping beanie, so you don't get it all over everything. I just had like this shower cap that I put on. I also have used, just put a towel on my pillowcase. I don't think that's the most effective. I find that using that beanie is more effective because it holds that moisture in your head better than if you're laying your head on a towel where, like it could absorb into that. So you can go to Target or Amazon or somewhere and grab one of those. Not a big deal. I mean, just grab one. Satin lined sleeping beanie. Like they make them, it's a thing. And that's what it's for. Now, there's a lot of reasons, even if you're not rehabbing your hair, to do that. Like if you want to put conditioner in it a few times a week, or you want to put that in it once a week and put your, put the CBD Beauty Boost in, which I'm going to use that probably forever, you guys. Not as often as I'm using it now, but I will continue to use that because I could, if it stopped the shedding for me the second time I used it, the second time, like I was like, oh my gosh. And then every time after that, like I would have just a little bit, because when you brush your hair or you wash your hair, you're always going to lose a little bit, right? It was like I got down to where almost nothing. Literally, that's where I'm at right now. Like hardly anything am I losing. So, but the second night that I used it, like I got up that next day and washed my hair, and I was like, oh my gosh, hallelujah, because I was like, I don't have much more to go. Like, I just can't spare much more. I'm going to be in some kind of hat before too long. And you just feel icky, right? When you're, I don't know, maybe I'm vain, but when your hair is a mess like that, and you've got bald spots and and your hair is kind of wild and crazy and sticking out and looks like you don't have any, like that just doesn't feel good. You don't leave the house feeling confident, or I didn't. So anyway, it's really good for your hair just to do that, because when we toss and turn at night, depending on how much you move, like that can be hard on our hair, like rolling around on our hair and stuff. So that's just another good reason to use one of those sleeping beanies. The CBD Beauty Boost, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So all three of the base oils in the Beauty Boost are formulated to have the ability to help our hair. It's created for our face, but it can also help our hair. So I think that is so cool. And then of course it's got, one of those is a CBD, which we know has amazing properties just in and of itself. So try that. Let me know what you guys think about that. Again, I don't know how it will work for you, but it's been phenomenal for me and for a lot of people that I have shared it with. So talk about the oils that we were talking about using. So first of all, lavender. And the only oils that I can ever recommend to you are Young Living, because they truly came from a plant. They're living plant juice in bottles. They're not something that's made in a lab somewhere in synthetic that will cause who knows what that I'm going to put on my head or my skin or breathe or whatever. So those are the only ones I could recommend. If you use anything else, you're on your own. Like whatever happens, that's on you. I just pray that you make good choices, and that is not even an issue. But lavender is known to promote hair growth. It's known for its regenerative properties for the skin and the scalp. It's a very calming oil. So this is a stressful time. When your hair is falling out by the handful, it's stressful. So just another nice component is not only is it calming and regenerative to the scalp, but it was calming to me because I had that aroma with me, right? I'm my own diffuser. Rosemary. Rosemary is so invigorating. Like it just kind of wakes your head up. I don't know if anybody's used it, but it really just wakes things up, and it helps. It's known to help prevent hair loss. It improves circulation and it strengthens our hair. And then there's the cedarwood. So cedarwood is known to support hair growth. It's great to use if we're having issues with our scalp, like flaky scalp and itchy scalp and things like that. It helps to reduce oily secretions. So if we're that individual that finds that we're having to wash our hair really often, that could be a good oil to try, girls. That could be something that's really good. Now, remember at the beginning, I said I'm going to address overall health, not just our hair, not just the scalp. So another thing that for me has been pivotal that I can't even imagine not having is Sulfurzyme. All right. So this supplement in and of itself adds over 300 enzymatic processes. So it helps 300 different enzymatic processes in our body. And it's a key to helping the body perform optimally at its very best at the cellular level. And that's what we want, right? That's always what we want. And it contains MSM. So that's its most powerful ingredient. And we know that MSM is amazing for hair, skin, nails. There's so many studies about that. It's phenomenal. And it's MSM is sulfur, and that's an organic thing that we need. Most people, unfortunately, are deficient in it, and they don't even know it. Like, we don't even know that that's happening. So it can visibly improve the condition of both our hair and nails. So my nails are growing super fast, faster than they've ever grown before, because I'm taking so much Sulfurzyme. So I will, and I a lot of the time measure that by raindrop. And it may be just a week that I've done a raindrop, and usually I could just file them off, and now I got to cut them again because they've grown so much. It's crazy. But the results are visibly noticeable. So the MSM, the sulfur in the MSM, in the Sulfurzyme, strengthens the bonds between the keratin molecules in our hair and in our nails. So it can be a great help overall to our cellular system. So it's just something that even if we're not rehabbing our hair, that we should be doing for our health. But I've been rehabbing my hair and using a lot of it. So it's great also for something else. Are you guys ready for this one? MSM stimulates the body to revitalize its natural production of, drum roll please, collagen. And I don't know if there's a lot of talk. Collagen's kind of a buzzword right now. There's a lot of talk out there about collagen. A lot of people are running out and buying all different kinds of collagen. And a lot of the time, the type of collagen they're buying doesn't even do anything for the body. So be really cautious, again, be an informed consumer and do your research. You really want type 2 collagen, and most of the collagen that you're able to buy is not. So anyway, that's kind of the magic word in the beauty world right now. And guess what? We're getting it in our Sulfurzyme. So high five, that's awesome. So you can take it as the body directs, the bottle directs you to, just for maintenance. And then you can just work to whatever your comfort zone is for your goals. For me, I've been taking about anywhere between 15 to 20 capsules a day in 2 different doses. So like 8 to 10 twice a day. And I try to do that on an empty stomach. That's what works well for me. There was a study, let me see if I can find that real quick. Just give me a second here. There was a double-blind study in middle-aged women that showed that MSM significantly improved the condition of their hair and nails. Some women were given a higher supplementation, 3 grams a day, while the other group was given a lower supplementation of 1 gram a day. The study found the results increased at a faster rate in women taking a higher dosage. However, both groups showed visible improvements. MSM is naturally found in the environment, like in plants and humans. The sulfur in MSM strengthens the bonds between the keratin molecules, which we talked about, in hair and nails. Sulfur-containing amino acids influence the ability to detoxify free radicals and contribute to the maintenance of cellular health. So I'll leave that with you to do what you will with it. I will say, a lot of people will say to me, I'm allergic to sulfur. I can't take it. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what you can do. I too as a young child, had a horrible reaction to a sulfur drug and couldn't take it. And I take, as I told you, a lot of Sulfurzyme. They're 2 different things, but you do your own research and you do you and figure out what works for you. Okay. Now, a lot of hormonal imbalances will cause hair loss. And even if somebody's been sick, like I was, that can mess up the hormones, right? That can disrupt the endocrine system. And I knew that was a thing for me. So in addition to using Endoflex continually over my thyroid and in capsules and over my adrenals and all that good stuff, I used Femigen and still use Femigen. So because the hormones are a big deal and they direct so many different functions throughout the body, it's really important to keep them happy and to protect them. So I'm going to do everything I can to do that, to make sure my hormones are happy and healthy and treating, then they treat me really good. So Femigen for me works really, really well. So it's got herbs that not only support, and this is for women, okay? We're not going to put the men on this one. It's for women, but it helps to support the female structure. And it's also known, the ingredients, to support what? Healthy hair. So it's a win-win, right? If we need some hormonal help and we need some hair help. So at those stages in life when you might be finding that shedding is happening to you, remember we talked about postpartum, a hormonal imbalance, right? A nutritional imbalance. So take it as it's directed on the bottle. The next thing that is really important, at least has been important in my journey, is Ningxia Red. So if you're not familiar with Ningxia Red, oh my gosh, let me introduce you to Ningxia. So first of all, why would we even want to take it? Well, we want to take it because it's an antioxidant. Now, antioxidants help to reduce the risk of lots of diseases, including heart disease, cancers, things like that, like all the things that we don't want. So antioxidants scavenge free radicals. So in other words, they go into the body, into the cellular part of the body, and they gather up those free radicals that are running around wreaking havoc in our body, and they eradicate them, so to speak, so that they don't continue to cause oxidative stress. Because if we have oxidative stress for too long of a time, unfortunately, that sets up the perfect foundation for disease, and nobody wants that. So interestingly enough, the Ningxia wolfberry is still included in a number of Chinese herbal pharmacopoeias and prescribed for patients with liver and kidney deficiencies, as well as things like diabetes and vision issues. So the Chinese are using them, have used it like medicine for years and years and years. Now, a Ningxia wolfberry, 100 grams, this was set at 100 grams for those of you green personalities that are going to ask that question. It's 15.6% protein. It's got 21 grams of fiber, over 21 essential minerals, and has significant levels of vitamin B1, which is thiamine, B3, which is niacin, and vitamin C. It's actually one of the richest known whole food sources for thiamine, or B1, for carb metabolism and thyroid function. Now, remember, we talked about the endocrine system. So if our endocrine system is disrupted, a lot of the time, that will start with the thyroid, won't it? The thyroid will be weak. Well, what if we could support it with an antioxidant that's doing some other stuff? So good nutrition, right? We've got to have the proper nutrition. So according to an ORAC, and if you don't know what that is, that's oxygen radical absorbance capacity, which basically is a measurement of the antioxidant capacity of foods. A study was done in the year 2000 and found that the Ningxia wolfberry was one of the highest known ORAC scores of any whole food source. So it was kind of off the charts for that. Now, interestingly enough, being the researcher that he was, Gary Young found out all these things and more about the Ningxia wolfberry and went to the Ningxia province of China to get wolfberries to make Ningxia Red. And it's it's not a juice, you guys, it's puree. It's the puree of the wolfberry with additional juice concentrates. So that's like the juices kind of like freeze dried, right? And then essential oils to make up a powerhouse super antioxidant. Right now, I'm taking 6 ounces of it a day. So you take what you find works for you, but my body needed a lot of support, Another thing is mineral essence. So if you're not familiar with that, illness, poor diet, compromised gut health, those are things that contribute to us having mineral deficiencies. And mineral essence is a balanced, full spectrum ionic mineral complex, which is enhanced with essential oils. Why is that important to be enhanced with essential oils? It's because the oils, the molecular structure of the oils allow them to go places that nothing else can go. So they help the absorbency of the supplements. So basically they enhance the supplement or the food or whatever they're put with. because of their chemical constituents and their chemical structure. According to two-time Nobel Peace Prize winner, Linus Pauling, who is a PhD, he said, you can trace every sickness, every disease, and every ailment to a mineral deficiency. So I know that for me personally, I was deficient in minerals. I know that my body was deficient in almost everything. Like I was just depleted. I don't know if you've ever felt that way, where you just felt like your body just was so starved for nutrients, but that was my experience. These are in an ionic format so that they're readily available. Unfortunately, the majority of minerals that we consume normally are not in a format that the body can actually even absorb. So these are. So I would encourage you to take it as directed. I'm going to just tell you this right now. I would not be an honest friend if I didn't tell you it does not taste good. It doesn't. I put 5 half droppers in my Ningxia twice a day. I used to do it once and now I'm doing it twice until I get my body built up. I won't do that forever, but I'm doing that for right now. So you do what works for you. Maybe you muscle test, whatever works for you, you do that. You can also, I've got friends that put it in capsules. I'm kind of lazy. I just squirt it in my Ningxia and shoot it and I'm over it in a minute. So rather than filling capsules, but that's just me, but I got people that put it in capsules. I also have some friends who put it on their scalp. Just saying. That's an option. The other thing that I talked about early on for every hair type was the Mira. And I don't know if I'm even saying it right. I heard different people pronouncing it different, but anyway, the hair oil, it's a lustrous hair oil. So it can be used basically for any hair type, and it can be used for styling. It can be used just to help to stop frizzes, fuzzies, all those kinds of things. And you basically don't really want to saturate your scalp with it. You want to put it more on the ends of the hair and work it through that way. And remember, between the mermaid spray and then putting that on when your hair is still, like you're just finishing up your hair, will help to protect it. It helps to keep that extra layer of protection. And I do know some people who also put that on their scalp and rub that into the scalp, like overnight kind of thing when you're going to shampoo the next day. Would you guys like a couple of recipes for hair mask? Would that be valuable to you? Easy peasy. Both of these I have used and I love because they make my hair feel different, both of them. Genesis lotion. Young Living has this phenomenal lotion, Genesis. It's the only one that I personally have used for this. It's one of my favorite lotions, but you know what I'm going to try next? The Luscious Lemon. It's back and I love it. So I'm going to try that on my hair. It's got to smell phenomenal, right? Like it just has to. But anyway, literally taking that lotion and working it all through your head, like just all over your head, work it into your scalp, massage it in really good, put it all over your hair, and then let it sit for like 15 minutes. You could sleep in that overnight, I suppose. I have never done that. But I suppose you could put your little, like your beanie on and sleep in that too. But then I just shampoo it. It's like I'll just do it in the morning before I jump in the shower and leave it on. And it's extremely cost effective because you can get, depending on how much hair you have, you can get any like 15 to 20 applications of that easy. And you can't go buy a hair mask anywhere for that's any good. And your hair feels really, really good. So that's super simple. Anybody could do that. And if you wanted to add any of those oils to it, absolutely you could. You could totally do that. And then there's another one with Ningxia. Ooh, how awesome does that sound? Doesn't that just sound luxurious? Like that's a spa day kind of thing, girls. So you just get a jar, a container that you can, mix it in, and a cup of bentonite clay. We know bentonite has so many great properties already, right? Half a cup of water, half a cup of apple cider vinegar, and 2 ounces of Ningxia. And you're just going to stir it. If you find that it's too thick, just add a little bit more water until you get it to like a paste consistency that again, you can rub in your head. This one, you're going to add, you really want to add oils to this one. So I've been using cedarwood and rosemary in it, but some others that that I'm going to start trying are Ylang Ylang, because I've used that just on my hair before my hair needed rehab. I would just in the mornings go through my head with, you know, my hair with Ylang Ylang. It's just, oh, it's amazing. Geranium. Sandalwood. And sandalwood is a luxurious oil. If you've not used it, you deserve it. It's thick and it's luxurious. Like you just, you know, you rub it on your skin. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Or Roman chamomile. And again, use the same, you know, like you're doing 10 drops. So 20 drops of oil to that mixture. And you can do whatever combination you want. That works really good. That Ningxia bentonite clay one, if your hair is really damaged. It's good for anybody's hair, but if you've really got some damage, that's a really, really good one. And just leave it on again for, you know, like 10 minutes or so, and then rinse it out. Now, honestly, you could do that and not even have to shampoo it. That will definitely clean the scalp and your hair. So you wouldn't even have to do that. Couple of quick tips. Dry, flaky scalp, tea tree, rosemary, lavender are some good choices. Dry hair, geranium, sandalwood, and lavender. Oily hair, the best oil for that is petitgrain. And then tea tree. So petitgrain is one we don't talk about or we don't like use a whole lot. Typically, like it's one of them. It's great. It's amazing, but we just kind of forget about it, I think. Alopecia, thyme, rosemary, lavender, cedarwood. So that's really more of like an irritation and inflammation, right? So we're just calming things down. That's a lot of what we want to do with that. And then if you just want really shiny hair, like I said before, the Ylang Ylang is just amazing. Like just take it and just kind of run some of it through your head. These are the things that I've done. These are the things that I have found seem to be working pretty well for rehabbing our hair, and I know definitely will help us to keep our hair happy and healthy. If you are not yet familiar with or have an account with Young Living, please see the person who invited you here tonight and let them help you with that, because trust me when I tell you, it will be one of the best decisions you ever make in your entire life. Now, I've got a shopping list that I can give you. I'm going to put that in the notes here in the chat. But let me just turn this recording off. So thank you guys. I appreciate your time.